who stood out the most to you? Who impressed you?
You know, I wanted to mention Alex Iwobi, but I have to talk about Chukwuebuku Ekwemesi. I knew when he started. Yeah, as a under 20 player under Coach Damboso during the COVID time. I remember when they brought him to the national 20 camp. We were like, who is this big striker? Where is he coming from? They said, they just bought him 1 million from one one academy back then. So for me, I'm happy. Things didn't really go well for him in Syria. I'm happy that it's actually what getting back to his best now. I think he played for Salernitana also. And yeah,
Salernitana,
so he
yeah.
scored like a couple of flashes, but I don't think things really actually what kicked off for me. Sometimes when you want to go forward, you go backwards slightly. Then you go and reflect, then you go forward. That is it. Just like Victor Osimhen, then he went to Wolfsburg from to Belgium. Then to never know. He's a good player. He's a good player. He just work on some few things. I'm impressed with him, and although Alex Iwobi too.
And to be honest, like I mean, how many people actually do well in Salernitana? Like that team is a team that is always struggling. So it's not a surprise when somebody struggles in Salernitana. They don't create that many chances. As a striker, you're feeding on scraps.
Yeah,
So I think Simi Wankwo did okay, but other than that,
yeah,
it's not very easy for players to do well. So
yeah.
shout out to him. I think I'll just highlight very quickly Philippe Otele. Continues to play well, continues to impress. We spoke about him last week in the Swiss Super League. Just joining them and hitting this kind of level, their fans are already in love with him. You see the quality of the goals that he's scoring, the quality of his play all around. Scoring 2 goals in 50 something minutes. He's not even playing full matches and he's just banging in the goals, doing his job and going away. They are currently trying to win the league. So if he's able to win the league, I mean, they are 6 points clear. It looks like everything is going well for them, for him. I'm very, very, very impressed with what he's been able to do so far. 14 matches and he has scored 8 goals. So that kind of output is, high level output. I don't know if maybe somebody's already going to come for him this summer or if he's going to stay, but I want him to continue to hit these heights, and I hope that his management can guide him in the right direction so that he takes the right step. Because, like we keep referencing, when he went to the UAE, everybody was a bit confused because we knew that he was a high potential player. So now that he's playing like this in Europe, scoring all these goals, I hope that his next step is one that everybody will be excited about, and we'll see him continue to grow and continue to rise in his level. So shout out to Philip Otele for that one. Okay, let's touch on a couple other players this past week. I'll start by something that is a relatively sad note, but you know, Super Eagles defender Leon Balogun unfortunately suffered an injury playing for Rangers. He fractured his cheekbone, which is a very interesting injury to have. But the more interesting part of it is that this is the fourth time in his career that he's fracturing his cheekbone.
Mm.
Such a very weird injury that you don't hear about. But head collision, trauma to your cheek, and then, a lot of pain, and you have to go off. I think he probably needs to get surgery on it in order to be able to play. Nothing that can be fixed, but of course, having to miss some time out is always a sad thing. And that's the thing with some certain players when it's just like freak injuries are the ones that always annoy me. And the funny thing about freak injuries is that a lot of the time they happen to players that people already consider to be injury prone, because something like this now is not like, oh, you pulled your hamstring that will say, oh, well, you just have weak muscles and you always get injured. Just a
Mhm.
random, because you are playing hard, head collision, and then you have this kind of injury. I don't know exactly how long he's going to be out for. I want to imagine that. I don't know if there's any mask they can do for him that will allow him to still be able to play. But obviously, as a defender, you're competing in aerial duels a lot, and things like that. If you're injured in your cheek and then they mistakenly hit you there again, it
Uh-huh.
can be just something that's going to aggravate the injury and then even more painful for you. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I wish him quick recovery. Leon Balogun is one that a lot of people have been talking about and touting for him to potentially be back in the Super Eagles squad for at least the friendly matches that we have coming up next month. So I really hope that it's nothing serious and he doesn't have to miss a long period of time. Similarly, any thoughts on this Leon Balogun's injury?
Well, I just want to wish him a quick recovery. When he went down, I thought it was maybe injury that he can just try and take off and he returned back to the pitch. But when he kicked that post, remember, he kicked the
Mm.
post after that injury. Oh, that's just scientists that something just happened now. But his cheekbone now. It can be our third marksman. I wouldn't use no wearing mask again.
Anymore.
Yeah, because he can be our third marksman. So for me, I wouldn't. What's it called? Balogun is a strong man, and
Mm.
we fight to be back. It's cheekbone, don't be leg, don't be. It's cheekbone. Now, me to go chop, but Balogun is stronger. So I wish him quick recovery. He's a fighter. You will see him soon, very soon. But
Yeah.
it's just that Rangers are not competing for anything again. So
Mm.
I think the league is not in the hands any longer. They're out of the Europa League. So I don't know if they're still in the cup also. I'm not really sure. Maybe they're still in the cup. So you don't even want to, say you want to rush him back. Maybe you should just recover quickly. I would like to see
Mm.
me when Nigeria play the Unity Cup.
Mm. They're already out of the Scottish Cup, so it's really just the league that they are playing for.
Yeah,
I think they
so
have 5 more matches in the league. They've
yeah,
already lost. I mean, they are on 66 points. Celtic are on 81 points.
yes,
So that
it's, uh,
is gone.
friendly
So
games towards the end. That's it.
I mean, so maybe they might rest him for the rest of the season. Who knows? But yeah,
Mhm.
hopefully nothing too serious. And like you mentioned, I think he said in an interview that, or after the game, that when he initially got hit, where he said that when you have this kind of injury, it takes maybe a couple minutes for the pain to really kick in. So he
Mhm.
first thought, every player now, you first want to soldier on, you want to believe that you can keep going, but as the pain just hits you, you just say no, 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 no. He can't take this, and he has to go off. Unfortunate one, but wishing him all the very best, wishing him quick recovery. Um,
Recovery,
okay, let us go forward. Smilai, your guy, your man, a player that you like a lot, that we both like to be honest, but you've been very, very big on him from the start of the season. He recently is having slightly bad trend. I'm talking about Christantus Uche. This is a player that has been tipped for a potential Super Eagles call up, but unfortunately for him, in his last game, he got a red card for a very bad tackle. I watched that. I said, you want to break this guy's leg. And Uche, with all his muscle mass, you know that he's not, if he step on you like that, it
yeah,
must be very painful. But why I say it's a slightly bad trend is because he has now been sent off twice
yeah.
in only a matter of 4 matches.
Over yes.
How do you feel about this? Does he need to be more careful, or is it just one of those unfortunate things that can happen?
He needs to work on his attitude. You know, that's one thing that defines a player. He needs to work on his attitude, the pitch, because when he was sent off, he wanted to fight. You
Mm,
know, after the sent off, he wanted to fight. So for me, I think he needs to work on his attitude. No, fantastic player, no doubt. You need to look at people around him. They need to advise him more. Guys, you don't forget that this guy is just playing his first pro season
season. Mm,
in his life. So is this the first time of him being a professional? So if the agent is watching or people around him, you need to get some people around him. Maybe they go and employ you, get people around him just to tell him what it takes to be, because all these things, he's doing everything on the pitch. We also need to know how to carry himself on the pitch too. That tackle for me was a batter. If you need to, come on, what was the point of going to the referee? That's why they have to hold him back.
mm,
If you slightly attack that referee there, it might be a 7 match ban. The season is over
mm,
for him. So I'm hearing that there's some big clubs coming for him this summer from a reliable source.
mm.
I'm telling you, some big clubs coming for him, both home. There's a Nigerian FC in in Spain coming for him. Nigerian FC now. So I don't there's a Nigerian FC coming for him. He knows that. There's also some clubs abroad,
Mm.
big clubs coming for him. So he need to watch these things and control himself. Good player, I'm supporting him, but he needs to work on this.
Mm. I mean, I think he has to definitely be more careful. The things that you don't want to build that reputation of being a player that
Yeah.
makes all these dangerous tackles or doesn't have control over his anger or things like that, because you might feel like you're being unfairly treated, but once you develop that kind of reputation, that's when you will start to see the meaning of unfair
Uh,
treatment, because every referee now is going to come into the match already in their mind, already thinking that, oh, this guy, I need to watch what he's doing. I need to watch him closely. And then that's how you do a very small thing and then all of a sudden now they want to be sending you off, they want to be giving you yellow cards for no reason.
Uh-huh.
And I know that sometimes he gets frustrated because the truth is he does get fouled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He gets kicked a lot. Is a blessing and a curse. He's very strong. So when he protects the ball and somebody is trying to get to it, unfortunately they'll be kicking him, trying to get the ball. He wins quite a number of fouls like that. But some of the time they don't give him the free kick and then he starts to get slightly frustrated. But
Yeah.
it's your first season, like Lai said, just manage, compose yourself, just learn how to deal with these things. Let your coach like try to at least put some pressure in the media for them to protect you a little bit more, even though I mean you're not yet at that level that they'll really protect you like that. But it's just about being a bit calmer, hoping that things go well. I mean, I want to say that this one is just a, two off. I'll call it, it's just a two off. But I hope that is not something that becomes more often, because already he tends to get yellow carded, quite often. He's one of those
Yeah.
guys that gets yellow carded quite often, but you don't want it to turn into something that you're now getting red carded often. It
Often.
becomes an issue. And I know that is because you're fighting hard, it's because you're working for the team. You're trying to win the ball back, you're trying to win tackles. So that's the reason why you might be considering. But if it's that you need to go and practice your tackling a bit more to become, because at the end of the day, as much as you're trying to help the team, you don't want to become a liability to the team as well. If you
Yeah.
start making too many of these errors, conceding free kicks, going one man down, because that game now, they lost the game 1-0. I'm not saying it's his fault, but they can easily look at it that, oh, if they had 11 men, they would have had a chance to equalize and potentially come back into the game. So you don't want all these things. And of course, the higher you go, the more media attention you get, the more
Yeah.
fans are loud about certain things. Because now if Getafe fans talk, nobody will even know if Getafe fans they talk. But
Mm-hmm.
if you join a bigger team, these things become more spotlighted. The fans have a louder voice, and yeah, I like him. I wish him all the very best, and hopefully, like we said, hopefully these were just two random incidents and it doesn't become a repeated pattern. But two red cards in 4 games is like, whoa, what is what is going on? Okay, so that's that on Christantus Uche. Wishing him all the very best. Okay, moving forward quickly, I want to talk about this boy, who continues to impress and continues to do well. Last summer, there were lots of talks about potential transfers, and then unfortunately, he got injured and he failed the medical when he was supposed to make his big move. He has come back from his injury and he has just been banging in the goals. I'm talking about Rafiu Durosinmi, relatively unknown striker in Nigerian terms, for a long time. But now a lot more people are starting to notice him. A lot more people are starting to see what he's doing. And he now has 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 4 matches. We know that he also scored in the Europa League, against Lazio and has been impressive since he came back. But like, how big are you on this boy? Like, is this somebody that people should really, really, really pay attention to if they're not already?
Yeah, he's a guy that you can see the raw talents there. He's another product of the field system because
Mm,
he left Nigeria unnoticed, not capped at any level. I don't know how he left Nigeria without nobody noticing that this guy could play for our underage team.
mm.
So, he's doing his bits. Unfortunately, he failed. Maybe he'd have been the Omar Mamouche now. No,
Who
because
knows?
he knows. So he failed the medical, and I think he was out for like a year or so. So it was out to not play football. For me, I'm happy that he's actually what they're doing well now. Good talent, doing well in the Czech league. But I just hope that the next move is going very crucial for him you
Mm,
know, because now, because it's called against Lazio, when we get or some scouts, they say that hey, Lazio is linked to all those. There's no substance in that link. We've been hearing those things too, but the next move is really very very important for him. So for me, I think if Frankfurt still wanted to, they go to Champions League. They are a selling club. They
mm.
don't. They can ask him to go and they can buy to go and replace Omar Mamouche. You know, for me, I think that he's a player that is a talented player. I like the way he moves the ball. That's one thing I like about him. So let's wait and see. Next move is going very important. There's a big summer for Uche Santos and this boy. Rafiu
Mm.
Durosinmi.
I mean, this is going to be a big summer for Nigerian players in general. I think we'll still do a video talking about Nigerian players that should be
potential
on the
moves.
move, and potential moves.
It's called sensible transfers.
Yeah, because there are a lot of them that when
Mm-hmm.
you look at, you say, okay, this might be time for it. I mean, we know the Osimens, the Lookmans are already on the move, but there are some other ones here and there that
Mm-hmm.
potentially. But for Rafiu Durosinmi, I like him. I like him as a player. I want him to just keep on doing what he's doing. I mean, he's only 22 years old,
Mm-hmm.
so that there's still a lot of time for him to really grow into his own. Um, Maybe the Czech league is not his level, but I mean, he just came back from injury, so it makes sense for him to, get back to his feet here. Even if you look at him at club, they don't start him in every single match. So I think they are still kind of managing him, wanting to make sure that he's back to 100% strength before they give him a heavy workload. His team is a relatively good team in the Czech league, so he doesn't really have to worry about that too much. They're competing for the title, even though they're probably not going to beat Slavia Prague. But I like him. I like him. He's a good finisher, good worker, good in the air. Reminds me a lot of Victor Osimhen. But I mean, maybe he doesn't play with quite the same energy as Victor Osimhen, but he has a lot of similar attributes, I think, in terms of his finishing, in terms of his playing the air, in terms of just his physicality when he's playing and how he just looks like he's always trying. But at the same time, looks a very good player when he's on the ball. So I like him. I like him. Hopefully he can keep on scoring. Maybe he plays another season in a Czech. Who knows? Scores like 20 something goals. Let's people really really start to talk about him, because
Mm-hmm.
even though he was on the verge of a big move last summer, this time, coming back from injury, I don't know if teams will maybe be willing to take that chance that he's going to be able to hit the heights that he was hitting before. Who knows? So we have to kind of wait and see what happens. But if he gets a reasonable, tangible offer, I think it might be worth taking. Go to the French League on, go to the German Bundesliga. Playing for me is important. Play in Europe, play even if it's not Champions League, play in the Europa League. Show
Yeah.
yourself at that level, because at the end of the day, those are the things that really stand out for you. We look at the striker like Victor Boniface. It's his Europa League performances that really, really helped him to get that his move to Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
So if you're able to show yourself in those European competitions, everybody's watching. By the time you score 6, 7 goals in the Europa League, teams around Europe will be asking, "Ah, who is that striker?"
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, I think he still has a very bright future ahead of him. He still has a very bright future ahead of him. Okay, let us move forward to another player, Super Eagles player this time, scored a goal over the weekend. Alex, Big 17, Iwobi. Alex Iwobi scored against Chelsea, but unfortunately they fell to a very late defeat. Iwobi now has 9 goals and 5 assists this season, currently having statistically his best season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I want to say though, Smilai, you saw this video as well. I'm guessing, was shared. Our friend JB shared it to us in the group. Where a Nigerian journalist was essentially saying, in fact, it's not essentially saying, in his own words, he said it will be no savvy play ball.
Mm-hmm. He's not a journalist.
So what was he?
He's a content creator.
Okay,
he's not, he's not a
okay,
journalist. He's a content creator.
but he said it will be no savvy play ball.
Mm-hmm.
I know that 9 goals and 5 assists is not lighting it out the park. Of course, we know we're not saying he's a superstar. But Smilai, do you agree with that sentiment? Say it will be no Sabi play ball.
You have to look at the messenger and look at who is talking. It's you that are looking at you are taking his words seriously. I don't take his words seriously. He likes to be center of attention. He likes to, that's why I said content creator. He likes to say something that is controversial so that the people it can be trending. You are looking for him. Why do you say that now? Engagement and everything. So if it's for him saying that it will be knows how to play ball, I don't take him seriously. But let's just look at the matter very well. For a player to he played in Switzerland league, no, in Sweden's league. I think maybe one season. I said I'm home from mid 19. I don't know. no,
Smilai, I not come here to cause fights.
no. I know he was playing for Sharks before. I think
Mm.
Sharks or Sweden. I said I'm home, so it was this petite winger. He never made anything. But I don't want to go into his detail. But Alex Iwobi, for you to come out and say that you don't understand football.
Mm.
Alex Iwobi is a gifted player. Say that how many chances they create to this thing. Where did they play Alex Iwobi for Super Eagles? You know, for example, now, he's playing his best football under Marco Silva. Marco Silva took him to Everton. He brought him again to Fulham. He's playing. He got that freedom to play anywhere up front. And somebody with 9 goals, 5 assists, 14 goals contribution, is more than average. If you look at the average, midfielders' performance in the Premier League, how many goals did Kevin De Bruyne score this season? I don't want to I don't want to start comparing. Just for you to know the level that Alex Iwobi is currently. If Alex Iwobi is not, how old is he now? Is he
Maybe
20?
28.
If Alex Iwobi was 24, you'd be seeing some clubs running around looking for
Hmm.
ways to actually what get him. He strikes well with his left foot, doing well with his right foot, doing well, creating opportunities. So, I don't know why some people say that he cannot actually what play. How can he not Sabi play? He don't have almost 85 caps, for the Super Eagles. I might criticize him or his limitation, but for you to come and say that he doesn't Sabi play ball, come on. You don't Sabi play ball, you see. Why you don't do well?
See, that's one thing with me. Like, I don't understand why a lot of Nigerians, fans, pundits, journalists, media, content creators, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people just get joy in bashing and criticizing our players. Now I
Yeah.
understand that negativity sells. It gets you views. It gets you clicks. I mean, look at what the person said about Boniface at that time. She got
Yes.
more attention than she has ever gotten in her life. So,
Yes.
but I don't fully understand the rationale behind it. Because if you want to say, oh, Iwobi is not as good as Salah, oh, he's not as good as Vinicius, oh, he's not as good as anybody, I can understand. Like, I mean, fine, he's not that good. But he is our own.
Mm.
Nobody is saying lie and say he is what he is not. But
Yeah.
when you just blatantly come and say, oh, he knows Sabi play ball, come on, like that is just a factually untrue statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why boys in Agege will say, I'm better than this person. I just not get opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just wants to believe that, oh, they are better. This person is not good enough. When people in the media say things like this, I don't fully understand it. He made a point of, oh, do Arsenal let go of players that are good, blah, blah, blah. This one's one that from Arsenal he got. And I'm like, okay, let's even say he did not cut it at Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
This boy has played consistently in the English Premier League for how many years now?
Mm-hmm.
This is a league that Nigerian players are just dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Say me they even just managed play one season in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy has been here his entire career.
Yeah.
He's showing that at the age where you expect him to be getting to his best, he's playing his best football.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of trying to bash him? What's the
Mm-hmm.
point of trying to bring him down? Again,
Mm-hmm.
I've said this thing on the show many times. In the context of Nigerian players, we obviously have to look at Nigeria class. Nigeria is one country that I have not fully understood how we like to insult our own, in the sense that other countries that don't even have players as good as Nigeria, they big them up, they hype them, they're excited for them. If they play a match and they play badly, yeah, you might criticize them after that game. But it's not a constant everyday thing of just trying to bring a player down and just try to make it seem, oh, they're overhyped, oh, they're this, oh, they're not good, oh, they're that. And it's like, come on, like at some point, support your own now. Like
Mm-hmm.
at some point, support your players, like back them up, like big them up. Like, it's different. Nobody is saying come and say that Iwobi is better than Salah. No, that one you're just lying. But for me, is I don't know. When I watch it, I just like it's so funny. And then a lot of the time they will start doing throwbacks to this or that. Oh, what Finidi George, what he was doing in his time, or JJ, what JJ was doing, things like that. And I'm just like, see, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Is a hell of a drug. It is something that can be positive and can be negative. Sometimes it's a good thing to reminisce and to enjoy and remember the good days, but it's also a thing that doesn't allow some people sometimes for people to move on. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
allow people to move on
Mm-hmm.
because you keep on saying, but this player or that player, but this one. It doesn't mean that you cannot support who is currently there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we get better, we'll be happy for better. But if it's what we have right now, please, I just always encourage people support, support, support.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'll give you a comment, but there's no super chat there, so
yeah,
that's
yeah. I mean, see,
I will not respond to the person.
again, for me, I have not fully understood when people make inflammatory statements like that. Because let's be honest, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing with somebody's opinion. If you come out and say Alex Iwobi no sabi play ball, that is just a factually untrue statement.
Yes.
It's not something about whether you agree or disagree. It is factually untrue.
Uh-huh.
It's different if you say, "Oh, Alex Iwobi is not as good as somebody." Opinion,
That
we
is
might
fact.
debate it. "Oh, Alex Iwobi is not as good as people think he is." Okay, fine, that's a debate. We can, have opinions on it. But Alex Iwobi no sabi play ball is just factually untrue.
Untrue.
You cannot be in the English Premier League playing for how many years and you know sabi play ball.
Uh-huh.
It just will not happen. Maybe you can even, maybe if you say, okay, you know sabi play ball, you manage to sneak 1 season or 2 seasons. But for the length of time that he has been there,
Mm-hmm.
Isabi. Maybe we're not happy with him, yes, but Isabi.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. And at some point, like, we need to start supporting our own a bit more.
Uh-huh.
There's no reason that after he has a good game, you go
Uh-huh.
in the media to talk negatively about him. I don't get it.
I don't know why it's just because
No,
we're just looking at what he said, but I don't take his words from that. I don't know if it's seriously.
no, I mean, for me, I just, sometimes it just pains me when people talk like this, because when people that have voices in the media say, similarly, sometimes if I even always say, Yusuf, you are a bit so, because for me, I just look at it that when people that have voices in the media say things like this, it encourages and enables fans to also come, as how somebody else now one day can be arguing with his friends and he will say the same thing, and he will believe that he's right because he heard somebody that he trusts and has been on radio for a long time saying it. So he too will believe that. Well, it must be true. You get what I'm saying? So for me, but I don't think necessarily think that that's an opinion thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think it is factually untrue. Let's talk quickly about a couple other players. We'll move through those ones fairly quickly. I want to say congratulations to Nigeria, former Nigeria under 20 midfielder Tochukwu Nnadi. He just got promoted to the Belgian Jupiler Pro League with his club Zulte
Mm-hmm.
Waregem. This is a player that I've interviewed in the past. Nice kid, interesting person. You can see he's a happy boy. Unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to establish himself at his club,
Mm-hmm.
been coming off the bench in a couple games. He had a spell where he was doing very well, but unfortunately lost his place in the squad, and now he's been coming off the bench. But he's been promoted. Playing in the Belgian Pro League is a league that gives you eyes, from the bigger leagues. People are always watching the Belgian Pro League. I mean, look at Onyedika, we're hearing about potential move. Look at the likes of Aroko Dare. So I'm hoping that in preseason he can work hard, he can get into the first team, and he can get games on his belt and can actually impress. Because I like him as a player, I just need to see that improvement. For me, sometimes I get a little bit sad. Not that, oh, everybody has to develop at the same pace, nothing like that. Everybody's running a different race. But sometimes I get a little bit sad when a player joins a team and then it seems like as if things are not just quite going in the direction that they're supposed to be going, or at the pace that you would hope that it goes in. It doesn't mean that he cannot still be a superstar in the next couple years. You never can tell. But I really hope that he can establish himself in the Jupiler Pro League, can play good games there, and can continue to progress in his career. But yeah, congratulations to Tochukwu Nnadi. Similar, do you have anything to say about that?
No, good player, good player. My issue is just that he needs to know that there's a different level to youth football. So he needs to, fantastic youth player. I watched him when he was in Bote Flood, playing for Nigeria 22 at that time. People linked him to Werder Bremen, That's what I say. Linked him to different clubs, but he went to Zulte in the second division. I wish him well, I just hope that he can be able to build on all this thing. Fantastic youth player, but he needs to know that there's more to senior football, than just this youth football. So he's going to be playing the Belgian Pro League now. So there's one thing is to play in the Belgian Pro League. I hope that he can work out. So they will not loan him again to the second division. That's
Mm,
another thing. So he needs to work out. Fantastic player. I wish him luck.
Okay. Okay.